Okay, hopefully I am talking loud enough here. Alright, for a while now y'all have been asking me about vinegar and how to make vinegar from scratch. So today, hopefully that is what I'm going to teach y'all to do. So vinegar starts in stages. Usually a lot of people make it from apples or apple scraps, but it all starts the same. You have to start by basically brewing alcohol. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm essentially going to make a quick and dirty strawberry wine. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a lot of different yeast options you can use. There's the yeast that is intended for brewing. These are typically, used for wine. But for today, I am actually going to use, and this is going to touch a few nerves, I'm sure, but I'm going to use Fleischmann's active dry yeast. It is a bread yeast, but believe it or not, it actually makes good wine and mead. It works just as well as some of the other yeasts. The point of the different yeasts is they bring out different flavors. Some yeast is better for high alcohol content. Some yeasts are better for, say, a traditional mead. Some things bring out the honey notes or the floral notes or the fruity notes. But we're not going to worry about all that today. That's a different video. But yeah, we're going to use the Fleischmann's active dry yeast. This is super cheap. You can get it in pretty much every grocery store, and you only need a little tiny pinch. So, starting materials, I've got my strawberry tops. They still have the greens on them and everything. You just need some purified drinking water. I'm going to make mine in a sanitized mason jar. I use Star San. This is my favorite sanitizing solution. I use it in all of my brewing. But basically you mix this up according to the directions, and then you dip your vessel into, and this is a no rinse, so any bubbles or anything that get left in your brewing vessel can just stay there, and it doesn't affect the flavor or the brew at all. Basic components of a wine is your fruit, your water, your yeast, and then for wine you use sugar. For a mead you would use honey. So yeah, we're just gonna get to this, and I'm gonna show you real quick here. My hands have been cleaned, but you're just gonna take your fruit. You don't stick all your fruit in here. These have been sitting in the fridge overnight. You do not have to rest them overnight. I was just lazy. There we go, like that. Okay, super easy. I'm gonna grab a paper towel here. That way I can clean off my hands. Okay. So fruit itself already has a good bit of sugar in it, but yeast have to have sugars in order to produce a good healthy colony. And in order to make good wine, you have to have a healthy colony. So we're going to take just a little tiny bit of granulated white sugar, like that. You don't really need much because there's so much sugar in the fruit already, just a little bit, as a treat for your yeast. And then you need the tiniest bit of this. These packets only have 5 grams of yeast in them, and one of these packets will do up to 5 gallons of wine or mead. So when I say you need the tiniest amount, I mean the littlest, babiest amount. So like that right there is plenty to get your yeast colony started, and that is going to turn into the alcohol that makes the wine. So now we're just going to get some water. Blub, 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 blub. And you just want at least enough water to cover your fruit. So that should be plenty there. Put that over there. Okay. Now, basically, now you wait. In order to get alcohol, your yeast has to multiply. I found the easiest way to do this when making vinegar is paper towel. There you go. That is the start of your wine. When you first start a batch of alcohol, the yeast needs a little bit of oxygen in order to reproduce. So when you see me making mead, typically when I pour in my honey, I will take some of my water, put it in there, and just shake the bejesus out of it. Basically, you want to incorporate air, as much air as possible when you first start the brew. Once alcohol starts, being made by the yeast, and the yeast start dying off, you do not want any more oxygen introduced, otherwise it turns into vinegar. So what I did was, we can actually set that to the side now. What I did is I had brewed a bunch of meads and I'd taken them to an event with me, and I had a little bit left over, and because there was so much air in the bottle, it was starting to turn into vinegar. So I thought, why not just encourage the process? So I stuck it in a little jar like this, and I shook a bunch of air into it. And what that does, when oxygen gets incorporated with alcohol, there's something called acetobacter starts forming, and that is what makes vinegar into vinegar. So you can see in here there's a vinegar mother forming. In kombucha, this would be called a SCOBY. And basically, it is just a type of bacteria that grows, and this is like the healthy gut bacteria. This is the good stuff. That's what you want. But this is actually my rose mead, and I just shook a bunch of air into it, and the more air you shake into it, the quicker it becomes vinegar. So the alcohol stage, that's going to take, it could take 2 weeks, it could take 4 weeks, it could take 8 weeks, just depends on how slow the yeast colony starts forming. But what you're going to do is, once you mix all this together, you're just about once a day, maybe once every other day if you forget like me, you're just going to come in and you're going to take a spoon and you're going to take this lid off and you're just going to stir a bunch of air into it. Like super easy, just, or you're going to get locked out of it. There we go. Okay. There we go. And you're just going to take your spoon and just, stir air into it. Because I'm not keeping this as a wine, I'm turning this into vinegar. So you want the oxygen in there. Make sure everything stays submerged. That's another big thing. Before alcohol forms in this, you run the risk of molding. So any fruit that is above the water runs the risk of molding, so you want to stir it every day. And then you just pop that back on there. And then you're going to stick your lid back on. And the reason we're using a paper towel, you can use a coffee filter. The reason you do this is that way oxygen can get in and continue to turn it into vinegar. But over time, here is a pineapple vinegar that I had made. You see how they're starting to layer? If you annoy the mother like this, she will sink. So within the next hour or so, she'll sink down and a new mother will start forming on the surface. Once it becomes vinegar, you want pH strips. In fact, hold on, I have it back. Okay. There we go. Oh, sorry if the camera is shaking. My floor is a little uneven. So these are pH strips, and they come with a little indicator. For vinegar, you want it below 4 pH. Ideally, 3.5. I'll double check my notes. I think 4 is like the highest you can go safely, but you want it to be below 4 pH, and that's how you know your vinegar is done. Let's see. But yeah, there is that, and it'll just continue to make new mothers. But yeah, you'll take your pH strips. You'll just once the mother falls down, you'll just dip your pH strip in. You'll take a look at what your pH is. I used to write all mine down, but I've made so much vinegar at this point, I just go with it. Sometimes your mothers will look a little gross. There's this one. It's a very healthy, happy mother in there. She's just a little gross. That is my older strawberry vinegar. This was a batch of tepache that I had brewed, and we turned that into vinegar as well. That's a nice, thick, healthy mother floating up top, which will now sink down to the bottom. Once it becomes vinegar, it no longer needs all the excess oxygen mixed into it. So at that point, you'll be able to put a solid lid on it. It won't hurt it to have more air in it. So I could take this off of here. Oh, she's sealed in there pretty good. There we go. I could take that off like that. Let some air in. We will put that lid back on there like that, and you can just... It won't hurt anything at all. All of that sediment that gets kicked back up, that's just mother. When you buy a jar of apple cider vinegar with the mother included at the grocery store, it's going to look a lot like this. And that is why they tell you to shake, because all that down at the bottom, that's the good stuff. That is the happy, healthy stuff that you want for your gut. And I've learned that you can basically vinegar anything that starts off as alcohol. In fact, one of the big projects that I'm going to be doing at some point, you can take beer and turn it into malt vinegar. So I would have to brew the beer, and then I would have to shake the air into it and let the beer vinegarize. So yeah, this process, like I said, turning it into wine will take a couple of weeks. And then from alcohol to vinegar, the longer you let it sit, the better, but you want it to go a minimum of a month, month and a half, 2 months. And the longer you let it sit, the better your vinegar is going to be. But yeah, after it gets below that 4 pH, you can go ahead and start using it. I actually use out of my strawberry vinegar all the time for like things like salads. But yeah, I think that's everything. That's the quick and dirty. If y'all have any questions at all, feel free to either message me, drop a comment under the video, anything you want to do. And if you would like updates on this strawberry vinegar, I'd be very, very happy to do a follow-up video a little bit later on. So thank you so much for watching.